too far.
I put it on silent.
But you're on silent here. So just the music.
Hi everyone. Hello everyone and welcome. Welcome to the show. If you're just joining us, welcome to Middlechase. We are Middlechase. We are cash flow. We are rental income. And we are here to talk about different issues happening in life. And today, we're just going to wait for everybody to join in before we start. Welcome, my name is Becky Danso. I am officially your host for today. And today we're going to have a very interesting topic. A very interesting topic here today on our live. And today we're going to be asking, and it's a tricky one for me especially, but we want to hear from our three important guests that we're going to be having here today, and also our guests in the house, our followers as well. So just put your comments, your questions, and everything that you're going to need in the comment section below. And we're going to start in a minute. While we're waiting for everybody to join in, don't forget to join our Twitter accounts, or follow our Twitter accounts at Middlechase. Follow us on LinkedIn at Middlechase. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us everywhere. We have amazing content and amazing things that you can learn from, that you can see, that you could, build on, and, just gain this knowledge and what you need about cash flow. We are about cash flow. We're all about cash flow. We're all about rental income. We're all about making your money speak for you in the future. Through property investments, of course. And we all know that real estate is the new oil. Real estate is the new everything. So come on, let's go. So who do we have live here with us now? Jimo?
Hi.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mr. Jimo. Welcome to the discussion. Hello. Good to have you here. How you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm fine. Are you?
I'm great, thank you. Well, Mr. Jimo Tawheed, can you please just give us a brief introduction for our followers here and people that don't know you?
Okay. My name is Jimo Tawid. I'm an accountant by profession, and I work with Middlechase Properties Limited. I don't think there's really much to say about myself. Just an all-round simple guy.
Amazing. So, if you don't mind me asking, Mr. Jimo, are you married?
Okay. Yes, I am. Yes.
Amazing. Happily?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Great. So now, our question for today basically is, should your spouse know about your investments? And hi, welcome Mr.
Yes, I
Azuka
believe
as well. Hello, Mr. Azuka.
Hi, hi Becky. Hi Jimo. Nice to be here.
Hi, welcome. Since we have everybody on the show now. Hi, Miss Kemi Sola.
Hi, hello.
Hello. Welcome to the show. Everybody's officially here. Let's get a round of applause for everybody. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much. All right, so while we start, just gonna give a quick heads up. So while we all speak, it will be beneficial, just advisable to mute your mic so we can hear everybody else on the show while we speak. We also speak one at a time. So let's go ahead. Should your spouse know about your investments? Oh, sorry, let's not go too fast. Mr. Azuka, can you please introduce yourself for our followers and people that don't know you, and Mrs. Kemisola afterwards?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Azuka Ugbo. I'm a business growth strategist and a friend of Middlechase.
Amazing. And Mrs. Kemisola? Mrs.
Hi
Kemi,
everyone.
yourself.
Good
Hi.
afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Kemi Sola. I work with Middlechase. I'm the team lead property baron network.
Amazing, amazing. Now, can I confirm that all of us on this platform here are married, except me?
Oh yes, I'm
Oh,
married.
okay. Mr. Azuka, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Amazing. Are we all happily married, or is somebody unhappily married?
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
happy.
we
We're
are.
happily married.
What else did I expect you guys to say? Well, okay, amazing. So now our question for today is, should your spouse know about your investments? Hmm, that's a tricky one. And I'd like to start with Mrs. Kemi Sola because they say ladies first. So Mrs. Kemi Sola, what is your opinion on this?
Okay, so for me, I personally would let my spouse know about my property if I acquire anyone. However, the property would be in my name. So
Oh,
if I'm buying a
yes.
property, it's going to be my name, but he's going to be aware that I'm buying a property.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll
Okay.
let him know
Fair
that I'm
enough.
buying a property.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, let's hear from you, Mr. Azuka.
Um, okay. I would say based on the question is broad. It says, should your spouse know about your investment? Now, there are different types of investments. Let's assume it's not real estate. So the first thing I want to consider is what's the size of the investment?
Mm-hmm.
If it's small, not so significant, maybe I'm investing in crypto or something that my wife has little knowledge about, then I may go ahead and not tell her. However, if it was a sizable investment and possibly I would need her support, in terms of actually fulfilling my obligation to making that investment. Of course, I would inform my wife of the investment.
So, Mr. Azuka, you're saying that if it was not such a big investment, she doesn't have to know. But
Yeah,
if it's a big investment, obviously, because she's married to you, it's only right that she knows about this investment, then you would let her know.
definitely.
So this is a no. Your spouse doesn't have to know about all your investments. Is that what you're saying?
I would say it's a yes and a no, but
You can't sit on the fence. You can't sit on the fence. But while you decide, we're going to come back to you.
yeah.
Let's hear from Mr. Jimo.
All right.
The
Hi,
magnitude or the
welcome
type
back.
of
Seems we lost you. Sorry for the network issues. Do you guys have me back? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hi. Sorry.
Hi, I can hear you.
Nigeria, sorry. But okay, if you can hear me, Mr. Jimo, unavailable. Okay, while we wait for Mr. Jimo to get back with us, so we can hear his answer on if he would choose to let his spouse know about all his investments or not, we're going to go back to Mrs. Kemi Sola. Hi, Mrs. Kemi Sola.
Hi, Becky.
Hi. Okay, so you said that you would let your husband know. So yours was a yes. You would let
Yes,
your husband know about your investments, but they're going to be in your name, right?
yes, they're going to be in my name,
Amazing.
100%.
Now, I do know that when you get married, right, you take on your husband's name. So basically, your name is your husband's name as well. Yes.
So, okay, so if you're saying because I must have done like a change of name to my husband's name, right?
Yes.
I can still decide to have the property written in my name. because I
Yes,
still
it
have
would
my
be
maiden name.
name.
Yes.
Okay. But
So
if
I
you
would
have the
be the
same
one to
surname attached.
yes, but I'll be the one to decide what name I want on the documents of whatever investment I have.
All
I'm not
right.
sure you understand
So
what I'm saying.
in a case where you're not there to defend, and you're not able to defend or say, okay, this property is mine and mine alone. Forget the surname. Forget that I'm Mrs. EJ. Forget that. Right now, this property or this investment belongs to me. In a case scenario where you're not there to defend, what would happen, or what would you do?
Okay, so for me, in the case if I'm not there, it goes to my next of kin. So if my husband is my next of kin, it goes to him. If I have my child as my next of kin, it goes to my child. So it depends on who I
Okay.
have as my next of kin. Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it can
Okay.
be my
Okay.
husband, it can be my child.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna come back to that because you're going somewhere there with that I like. So we're gonna come back to that. Do we have Mr. Jimo back? Wow. Okay, Mr. Azuka, we're back to you now.
Okay, Becky. Good.
Hi. Okay, amazing. So let's go back to you. You said, okay, small investments, she doesn't really have to know everything. Bigger investments, okay, yeah, she just might have to know. What may I have a broader reason of why? What are your reasons? What are your specific reasons as to why you have gone with this what I say state of mind?
Okay. I'll start from the yes.
Okay.
Because I said if it was a big investment, say like buying a property or a house, it impacts not just me. It impacts not just my wife. It also impacts my kids as well, our kids. So in that broad perspective, it impacts the whole family. And to some extent, let's say, for instance, I have monthly payments to make for a particular property.
Okay.
We can agree that, okay, sweetheart, here's what we're going to do. I'll make 70% of the contribution towards the monthly payments, and you can make 30%.
Okay.
That's where there's a bit of cooperation. So we're both vested in the investment.
Investments, okay.
Now, if it's something insignificant that maybe might be a little bit risky, for instance, cryptocurrency, I have little knowledge about how the crypto market actually works. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put her in that scenario where, how do I put this now? If there's a loss for some reason, that she would have to bear part of the. So it's part protection. It's part. Nah, you don't need to be part of this.
Okay. Is that your only reason why, Mr. Azuka? Or have you had some form of experience with this sort of thing?
No, not that I can think of. Most investments that I intend to make, I intend to make them for myself, but then I think about the broader perspective. If I leave this world, of course, my family tends to benefit. But let's not also forget that there's a third person in the relationship that we should also get to consider, which is our lawyers or our lawyer in this case. Now, the reason I say lawyer is because sometimes you want to protect your interests when you're making certain investments, and lawyers, they understand the little inti English is hard, the nuances of certain contracts that you might get into, So although the lawyer has his part to play, and I think we've all seen this in, let's take for instance, Chief Daddy, the movie Chief Daddy. I remember when the titular character died, his family came together and his lawyers actually showed up and said, oh, he has this and this and this and this investment. Sometimes the family might not keep track of the entire investments. It's the job of us as investors, when we're considering investments, also get our lawyers also involved. And at that point, you find out that, okay, yeah, there are certain other investments that my spouse may have had. But like I said, it depends on the kind of investment, first and foremost. If it's not real estate, if it's not property, if it's something that I have little knowledge about, or maybe she has a bit more knowledge about, there are different scenarios that could play out. So it's important to also consider some of these
Let me
things.
ask this, and let me even ask this to Mrs. Kemisola. I don't know if we have Mr. Jimo back. Do we have Mr. Jimo back now? Okay, so let me ask this to Mrs. Kemisola. Now, Mr. Azuka says if it's nothing like property or something big, something voluminous or something not so, what is the word? Something not so risky.
Significant.
Or significant. Something not so significant. But then again, right. I mean, you're saying crypto as well, but you can do a pretty great amount of investments in crypto, and that can go a very long way. Let's say if I had a blockchain account of like what, 1 million Bitcoin, I think that's pretty significant for me. I think. But
You said
me,
it.
but for me, my partner doesn't need to know. But who am I? What do I know? Because I believe that whatever I do or whatever I'm investing is for me, right? It's made for me. I'm doing it for me, and in the long run, I want to do this for the happiness and for the benefit of me and mine, right? But Mrs. Kemisola, I'm gonna push this question to you, which is a question that I have been asking in my mind since Mr. Jimo. Since Mr. Azuka said this. Now, why, if in a case scenario, let's say in a case scenario, right? Hi, Ms. Kemisola, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay. So in a case whereby, let's say you found out that your husband, let's say Mr. Azuka in this case being your husband, case scenario, your husband makes an investment or a form of investment without your knowledge. Are you going to be slighted or maybe taken aback, or would you feel some type of way about that?
Yes, of course. I'll feel some type of way if he takes an investment, and at the end of the day, it begins to affect our finances. But the main reason why I said I would let him know whatever investment I invest in is because you can't predict this man. Anything can go wrong. So have you say, oh, I buy a property in our name, and he comes and he says, oh, okay, I have another wife, and she comes, and then after, you can't predict what happens in the future. It could fall sick and maybe he dies, and then you be like, okay, the property is for both yourself and your husband, and then the new wife will start fighting back and forth, back and forth. So the reason why I said I'll let him know is because I'll know that this property is for me and whoever I choose as my next of kin. So if anything goes wrong, it goes back to my next of kin, be it my dad or my kid or my husband. I won't have to struggle with anyone with my property. So that's the reason why I said, oh, but if he has to take my finances to do an investment, I have to be informed. Because if it's going to affect our finances, it won't be a good one.
What if this investment was made before you got married or before you became his spouse? What would you do in that situation?
If it was before I became a spouse, I'll just probably advise him and support him out of whatever investment he did. Okay, so if go on, sorry.
Okay, I'm saying like if the investment was made before you got married, before got married to you, and then you got married, and then you found out about the investment after you had gotten married. Let's say he had the chance to tell you about this investment 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times, but he never told you. Are you going to feel some type of way, or how are you going to react to the situation? And
no,
what would you do?
I won't feel some type of way because I'm not aware of the investment he had before now. But if in the course of the marriage he makes an investment I am not informed about, it won't be a nice one at all. So if it was before we got married, you can decide to do whatever you want to do with your money at that time. But the moment you become a couple, I have to be informed about whatever thing you want to do with your finances or whatever investment you want to make. Yes.
Okay, insightful. Now we had one person that we lost through. He's gone again. Okay. So we're just going to continue this with Mr. Azuka and Mrs. Kemisola. Again, you're here on Middlechase, and we're asking the question. If you're just joining us, welcome. Hi, welcome to our new people. Welcome to our followers. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the discussion on should your spouse know about your investments. And so we're going to go back to Mr. Azuka. Because Mr. Azuka is kind of in line with where I am at as well. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I think I have different, we all have different ways of thinking and we all have different mindsets. And for me, it's no, mine is mine. It's my investment, it's my money. But Mr. Azuka has said something in this line as well. If something too big, things relevant, the spouse doesn't really have to know. But if it's something, maybe the spouse should know about it. But Mr. Azuka, now I'm going to switch the roles, right? I'm going to reverse the roles a little bit. And I'm going to ask you with me. Hi. Mr. Azuka.
I'm right here.
Okay. So I'm going to reverse the roles now. I'm going to ask, if your spouse made an investment without your knowledge, let me rephrase that question. What sort of investments would your spouse make that you would totally not be cool with if you didn't have any prior knowledge of it?
Okay. Before I answer your question, I want to say something regarding Mrs. Kemi's response.
Okay.
Earlier, she said that if she makes an investment, of course, you put her child as next of kin. And then if something happens in the relationship with her husband, then she knows that the property is for her. I'm not sure how the law applies in Nigeria, but I thought when you get a divorce,
when you get married, right? You inherit the name. It's the same thing. He's still taking
but
your money.
what I'm trying to say is, when you get a divorce, I think it's 50-50. I'm not too sure how it applies in Nigeria. But secondly, buying a property before we get into the marriage, I feel like there should be full disclosure that, okay, yeah, this is what I have, these are my assets, this is what I'm, how when a president is coming in, or president or governor, they declare their assets and say, this is what I have. I feel there should be some full disclosure regarding the investments that they already have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the roles are reversed, to be honest, I would ask her as to why. I won't quite judge, because sometimes I like to understand the reasons behind people's actions. Yeah. So if, for instance, he makes some form of investment that I'm unaware of, and I get to find out, I would ask her, "Oh, okay, I understand you made this investment. Is that true?" And if she says yes, I'll say, "Okay, so why didn't you tell me? Is there any problem with telling me? At least you could have told me. It's not like I'll take it away from you." So,
oh my God.
Particularly if it's a property, if it's that significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I understand Kemisola's angle of wanting to protect yourself in case, something happens. We know how, relationships tend to happen.
Most definitely. We know how things can turn out to be. Especially in relationships and with people, it's hard to tell. You really can't predict anything. You really can't predict the future. So it's always good to secure yourself. And I'll always tell people, secure yourself. Secure yourself first. Or secure your family first for the family people. So make sure that you're doing everything in your path to secure yourself. no matter the partner, no matter, it starts with you. Because if you don't secure yourself, I don't believe that you can secure your family or even. But now we have Mr. Jimo back, and Mr. Jimo is here to give us his own side of the story. Hi, Mr. Jimo. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you very much. Sorry about
welcome.
leaving you guys and coming on.
So yeah, we started without you, but we're not going to leave you behind. You're coming with us.
No
So
problem.
tell us, what is your own side to the story? Would you let your spouse know about every investment you make, or maybe not?
Well, as I was saying earlier, for me, I think my spouse should know about every investment I make. No matter the volume, to even if it's a billion, or if I'm investing in a Tesla or whatever, I think he should know, because I've been entitled to a particular experience, not my personal experience, but at least I've met someone who suddenly passed away. So they were like, oh, sorry, blah, 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 you have to take care of yourself and your father's investment and things like that. And the spouse and the kids were like, what investment are you talking about? And this and that. They were all asking for price. But assuming there isn't a faithful person to actually like, okay, these are the things that your father left behind. Nobody's going to know anything. The man can just die out, everything like that, and the children are going to go back to square one. And while you are doing this investment in the first place is for yourself, in case of the rainy days, and after you're gone, so that people behind you can have something to at least keep the life going before they can get their own feet on the ground back again. So I'm making an investment for a certain reason, and part of the people I'm considering when making that investment, they're in the dark about it. And I don't think there's any reason to make the investment at all, if they won't be privy to the information of the investment.
Let me ask you this question. Okay, so you make this investment with your full chest, and your spouse knows, your family knows, and whatnot. But what happens when you have maybe a frivolous spender as a spouse that has let me land, that has, let's say, a thinking that, oh, my husband has an investment. There's some trust fund somewhere, there's some money somewhere lying out, and we're just going with vibes. I'm just spending money. I'm just frivolous with it, thinking, okay, the investment is going to be a soft fall in case anything happens. What happens if you have that sort of person as a partner? Would you be comfortable exposing every single bit of your investments still?
The truth of the matter is, even if you are exposing all these investments to them, it's not that you are giving them access to the investment right now, right away. You get me? Some investments, they take a while before they yield anything.
Yes.
So there are some investments that they have no power, no authority over until maybe after you're gone, or maybe when you're incapacitated or things like that. So even if I tell you I have a piece of land somewhere, you cannot do anything with that land, except you have all the documentation to that land. And like Mr. Azuka was saying earlier, the third person in the relationship, which is the lawyer, is the one definitely going to have all these documents and all this, or know where they are kept.
But if I'm your spouse,
you get me? So if that person does not have access to all these things, you can't do anything.
Okay, but I believe if I'm your spouse, right, we have equal rights to all documentation. No? If we're married, we have equal rights to documentation, especially if you had trust for this person, and you thought that you could build with this person, not knowing that this person was a frivolous spender and did not have that investment culture, the investment mindset from the onset. So in that case, if I
that would speak to your own ability to make a good investment. Because if you can't invest well in a good partner, then whatever investment you're going to make, it's not going to be a good one. Because the first investment you're making in life is to invest in a good and trustworthy partner. And if you cannot make that investment right, then I don't think you'll be buying the land in a very good location. You'll probably be buying the land in one village that is going to have no returns for you.
Wow. Okay. Mr. Juma, I hear you, right? Well, we're going to go back to Mrs. Kemisola now because I have a very serious question for her. Mrs. Kemisola, are you ready for this question? It's a banger.
I'm listening. I'm with you. Please go on.
Okay. So, beautiful. So let's say you've, made an investment with your spouse, your husband, it's in your name, and you have a child, you put the child as the next of kin, everything. But something happens, and by law, let's say the child is not even up to 18 yet, so he can't really carry over that investment yet. What happens if, your husband, your spouse, tries to, manipulate this investment before its maturity stage or before it's passed on to the next of kin and tries to swindle you of that investment? What will you do in this case? Someone you always trusted. I hear crickets.
So, what would I do if we have an investment together and then he's trying to swindle me at the end of the day? I would involve my lawyers.
Okay, what if he's trying to legally take you out of the investment?
So if he's trying to take me out of the investment, there has to be... Okay, so if he's trying to take me out of the investment and I am not aware of what he's trying to do, I'll just probably... The first thing I'll do is involve the lawyers. But
what if you're fully aware? What if it's a court case? What if you are fully aware? He puts it in a court. Let's say he's made a whole big deal out of it and said, look, I gave this woman money to make this investment. I gave her the money because we're married and we'll be supporting each other as partners.
So if he's giving me money, he can't determine what I use my money to do. He can't say, okay, this is what you should spend your money on. I can decide to spend my money on whatever investment I want. So if he's coming on that basis, it can't be. So what if he gave me the money, I used it in buying a bag, and then I had to save up my own personal money to do other things? But if we have an investment together that is trying to take me away from, I'll probably just involve my lawyers. We'll look at the investment together. We'll decide, okay, this is how we're going to share it, and this is how it's going to be. Is it like he takes it or he leaves it? Yes.
Wow, Mrs. Kemisola is ready to fight any man. She's ready for them. Because, it's your investment. So we're taking questions from the public, our people. Any questions that you have concerning this topic, any comments that you have, please put them in the comment section below, and we will attend to all these questions. Our speakers will be answering these questions. I don't know how many minutes we have left on the clock, but we're attending to questions, we're attending to comments, join the discussion, join us here, put your mouth. Does your spouse need to know about every investment? Now I'm going to push that same question I pushed to Mrs. Kemisola to Mr. Azuka. Mr. Azuka, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
All right. So in the case where your partner is legally trying to take this investment away from you, what do you do?
I don't think it's possible that my spouse can take the investment from me.
Under the guise of being partners?
Under the eyes of being partners.
Yes.
I don't even think it's possible. For instance, if I bought a property, a piece of land or a house, just like Kemisola said, it would be in my name, or it might even be in our joint names. If I made it in my name. Sorry?
If it's in your joint name, if it's in your names,
if it's in our name, then there's no need for her to take it away from me because it belongs to two of us. I think in that respect, both our names would be on the documentation that, okay, yeah, we both jointly own it. And I don't think the relationship can get to the point where my spouse would say that, okay, yes, I want the whole investment for myself. It's for two of us.
All right. So do we have? All right. I hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna take this comment first. Okay, that we don't have a comment. That was a false alarm. But okay. I'm going to ask this question. I'm also throwing it out to the public because it's just come up now with what you said, right? So imagine we have a serious investment, property investment together, right? Me and my spouse have a property investment together. And there's some sort of quanta we want to dissolve, but we have just this property together. How do we dissolve? How do we separate the property? I mean, we can't break down the house or the apartments if we've already built an apartment. And if it's a land, I don't believe that we're really willing to sell the land and split the money. In the case where you dissolve, or you have to, unfortunately, have to dissolve your relationship with that partner, what happens to the investment and what are you going to do?
Okay, so if I understand you perfectly, you're saying if the relationship deteriorates to the point where she says, "I can't my bag waka," what will happen to that investment?
Yes.
The first question is: did we make was it a joint investment? In other words, if it was a 20 million naira investment, how much has she put into the transaction so far? If, for instance, she has put in even more money than I have, I think we can have our lawyers draw up a contract and say that over a period of, say 3 to 5 years, maybe, I can be repaying her our own investment in installments.
Okay.
That's one way to look at it. Yes. So, over time, that's, for me, that's the worst case scenario. Would I even call it worst case scenario? Now, if, for instance, she says she wants all of the money right now, then we're looking at a situation where we might have to sell that particular property or find a buyer for the other half of the property and then transfer our own part of the ownership to that person, of which everything has to be drawn up in a contract for us to agree that this is what is, going to be happening to that property.
Okay.
And that's why lawyers have to be involved right from the get-go.
All right. I'm going to push the question to Mr.
Can I say something on that?
Yes, most definitely. Please do.
Okay. Now, there are investments and there are investments. We could have an investment of, say, 200 million, and we could have another investment of, say, 50 million. So if I do have a partner that right now things have got so bad and I feel like I want to go, and we have an investment of, say, 500 million, sometimes the last solution might not be, okay, let's sell it off, let's take your half, take my half. There are people who do business together, who are in business together, and they've never seen eye to eye. They are not friends, they are not enemies. We can still jointly own the investment. Anything can still happen in the future. We can still decide to come back, beat our kids, and when it is right time to do whatever we want with the investment, we can go ahead and do whatever we want, even while we are separated.
So, Mr. Jimo, you're saying that you would dissuade her from taking that position. In other words, I want my own investment back.
Yes, we can still jointly own the investment together, and we are not meant to be husband or wife. We can still own the investment, because me and you, we can own an investment and still not be that close as friends.
What you're just saying
so
now,
for me,
Mr. Jimo, has actually, a little bit of it has actually come up in our comment section here. Now, Don King has asked, right, if a partner's wife wants a property sold and the husband doesn't, how do you resolve that in the eyes of the law?
So for me,
I know we're all not lawyers, but let's What do we do?
So for me, with regards to your last question, you said, okay, if we are trying to dissolve our marriage or dissolve whatever thing we have, I'll tell you to sell the. Okay, the first thing is we'll do like a survey to know what the worth of that property is, and we sell. Everybody goes their separate ways since they're going to be separated. So I don't see the reason why we should have an investment together if we are not going to be together. I'll tell you, okay, so what is the value of this property at the moment? We sell the property, I take my money since it was an investment. And I believe that if it's an investment, I should be able to make money from it. I'll tell you, okay, so let's value this property and let's sell. I take my share, you take your share. You can't decide to buy my share. That's on you, but I will definitely take my share. So if, let's say the property is worth, let's say 50 million in the market now, or you tell me my worth is 25 million and you decide to pay my 25 million, that's all good for me. I'll take my 25 million and walk away. So I wouldn't believe in the idea of what we're saying because we can still do business together. If we're going to be separating, I'm going to be taking my investment away immediately.
All right. Mr. Azuka, what do you reckon?
Sorry, remind me the question.
The question was, if your spouse wants the investment or property sold, but the husband doesn't, how does this go in the eyes of the law, and how can it be done?
I think at that point, the law cannot do so much about it because it's an agreement between two of them in the first place. The law is not going to come and bend one person's arm and say, no, you must agree to this other person's demands. The law would pretty much say, two of them are go settle. Because it's not like there's no crime, there's a crime involved. Then go say, Mona go now husband and wife matter, Mona go settle. Yeah. And then the lawyers will try to put an argument across, to the other table and say that, okay, yeah, these are the benefits of taking this particular position. Why don't you agree with us? And then, it's a back and forth, and at some point, agree to it. And that's why earlier I said that if it gets to that point where the relationship is deteriorated, then we can look at how over a course of 1, 2, 3, it could be 5 years, whatever the case may be, depending on the amount of the investment, making those little payments back rather than selling the property outright.
Okay, Don King, I don't know if you've gotten your answer out of this, but just try to dissolve. Is that what we're saying? I hope we've gotten our answer out of that. So we have another question from another person. That Comfort asked, would you tell your spouse about the property you bought in your child's name, knowing well that he or she might sell it for his or her own personal gains? So I'll push that question to Mrs. Kemisola before I push it to Mr. Jimo and then Mr. Azuka, respectively.
Okay, so if I'm buying a property in my child's name, I would inform my husband about it. It would be aware that I have this property in his name or in her name. Because if
knowing fully well that this partner might sell it for his or her own gain, would you still tell?
No, if I know my partner is going to want to sell the property, I won't tell him. I'll just have someone I can actually confide in and make sure this is like a secret to be sure that if anything should go wrong, my child's property will still be there for him or her. So I won't inform him because I know that if I'm away, he's going to sell it or do whatever thing he wants with the property. I won't inform him about it.
Okay. Mr. Jimo, what do you reckon?
Well, I would also tell her about it. Okay. Owning a property sometimes is like opening a bank account. I have 2 sons. So anytime my son up to 3 months old, I take them to the bank, I open a bank account for them. So when I open a bank account for them, you set it up in such a way whereby one person does not have autonomous right to this account. Now, the only way that person might eventually have an autonomous right to that account is in the case of your demise. So it's going to be like that. So when you're owning some property or opening some investment in your child's name, one of you cannot have the autonomy over that kind of investment.
Okay.
And I believe every person has a humanity part of us, whereby you did not purposely, willingly want to harm your child for whatever reason. So if I have a partner that is looking at our own child and be like, man, I don't want to give this child a future. I don't want this child to have a headway in life. I don't want him to have a stepping stone, or I don't want him to have a springboard to get to the next level before his colleague, and wants to destroy that willingly. Then I think that person is supposed to be checked for 1 or 2 illnesses. So since my partner do not have the autonomy over that account, I don't believe he can do anything without my consent. So even if you want to forge a death certificate or things like that, well, that would be very, very one really disturbed person.
Okay. Mr. Azuka, what do you reckon? Before I ask this other last beautiful question of mine.
So, in a situation where my spouse makes an investment for any of our children, and she's doing that for her own personal gain, would I want to protect my children if she's doing it for her personal gains? I don't. I want to put it from this perspective. I didn't make the investments. She did. Right? So I don't have the right over that particular investment. Actually, my child has the right, and so does my wife. So I don't think I would try to protect anybody in that sense, if you understand what I mean. Because first of all, what kind of parent would say, I want to invest for a child and then take away that investment? It's like saying, I want to send you to school, but no. Let me remove you from school.
That actually leads to my next question, right? So I've written here, in times, especially in recent times where a lot of things are at an all-time high, inflation is at an all-time high, things are quite hard in the economy, if I would say so. Let's say you have an investment, right?
Okay.
And things are quite hard. And you unfortunately have 2 choices. This investment was made for the child. Now, let's say you have the choice of selling off that investment to get enough money to feed you and your family and take care of your family. Or you're going to maybe have to keep the investment for your child while you stay hungry. What do you do in that situation whereby you have just one choice? Or would I say 2 choices? Sell off your investment to make it through life, or keep that investment for your child in the future and hardly scraped by life. How do you move around in terms of that? Because some people, it might have started out well for them, and then they've gone and tied up their money in some investments for their child or for their children, and unfortunately life deals them the big blow, and they're left with just those investments, but unfortunately they can't see the investments through because life has happened. What do you do in that case?
I think that's what these investments are actually for. It's us more or less sowing into the future. I was in this situation you described. I was in this situation a couple of years ago, where I wanted to relocate my family to the US. And at that point, I had a house, was standing already. I just needed to do basic finishing and all of that, but I wanted to relocate my family. I sold that property, sent my family abroad, and it kept them afloat for about...
What year was this?
It's a couple of years ago. I didn't need to mention the year, but in that case, it actually benefited all of us at that point, because like I said, that's what investments are for. You want to be able to look back at your investments and say, this investment, can it take care of me in the future? And in that case, that was what that investment did for myself and my family. So I'm not sure. I think I saw one of the comments. That Comfort said that I may have gotten the question wrong initially. So maybe somebody might have to read it back to me. But like I said, when we make these investments, we're actually sowing into our future and the future of our family and our loved ones. So Yeah, that's what I got to say.
Okay. All right. Let's hear Mr. Jimo on that issue. Your two boys.
I concur with Mr. Azuka on this.
Okay.
The beautiful thing is I've actually been in that particular situation like a year ago or so.
Wow.
So the thing is, when you make investments, sometimes you just have to like have as much as you can, stretch. You get, so you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. You don't have to be like, real estate is an income. Let me just drop all my investments in real estate. Just
Diversify your investment.
Take days. You understand? Have a diversified portfolio. So when things like that hit, you get to be able to sit down, strategize which one is going to make more sense to dispose of right now, and which one you can still keep for the future and things like that. So you'll be able to plan yourself. And like you said, the investments are not for now. They are for tomorrow. They are for later. They are for unforeseen circumstances. So that is what they are for.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Mrs. Kemisola. Mrs. Kemisola, what do you reckon? What do you say to this question in particular?
I'm not sure I heard the question correctly. I've been having network glitch.
Okay, all right. So I'll go again. I said, in the case where life happens, and that investment that you've made for your child becomes the only way for you to get by, are you going to sell off the investment to get by, or are you going to keep the investment for the child and continue just scrape by life barely?
That's a big question. So if it's actually a big question, because if I have an investment for my child, and then this said investment is the only thing I can actually sell to actually get by, I think I'll sell it and probably use the money for something else that can actually yield more investment. So I think I'll sell it, because if that's the only option I have, I will hold on to the property when I know that, I don't have anything to feed on, or I don't have I can't even pay my own rent where I'm staying or anything. So I would sell it to actually get by.
Yes. Interesting. Okay.
I also want to add this. If it's a property, a standing property, I believe it's possible to actually get a loan with your property as a collateral. So that's also a possibility if you actually do not want to sell that particular property.
Okay, that's a good tip. So from Mr. Azuka, he said that if you've gotten in that kind of situation where you don't reach red, where everywhere is red, and you have that investment, you can use that investment as collateral and get a loan to sustain yourself and your family while you still watch that investment grow. And I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Mr. Azuka, for that. So we're taking the last of the last questions. Say your final bits now, or no, don't hold your peace. But I want to thank everybody that has come on the show today. I want to say thank you to Mr. Azuka. Thank you to Mrs. Kemisola. Thank you to Mr. Jimo for joining us. Thank you to all our viewers for joining us. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. We're taking our last of the last. For more information, for more lives, for more tips, for more on everything rental income and cash flow and all that you need to know about life, follow us at Middlechase on Instagram. Follow us at Middlechase on YouTube. Follow us at Middlechase on Facebook, Twitter Space, everywhere. We are everywhere. Also, you can go for more information on everything about us on www.middlechase.com. Send us a DM, send us messages. We'll be happy to reply to you. We're waiting for you, actually, to send us these messages, and we'll be ready and happy to ask. So we'll take the last question to answer. But we'll take the last question before we finally round off. And, well, it's not a question, actually. It's more of a comment from Don King. And he says, how can you invest in your child and keep it away from your partner? What if the partner dies and the confidant claims the ownership of the property, how can the other partner fight for the child? Well, that's why we've said that there are three parties to every relationship, and that's your lawyer. So your lawyer, just in case someone passes away and we still want to keep that investment in the child's name or in whatever name, make sure that you have proper documentation, and we can't stress this enough. Make sure that you have proper documentation, and all parties have proper documentation on how your investments should go and how your investments should work, from the names to the next of kin to how it should be passed down. You want to make sure that you secure yourself for life, because life can happen at any time and life can hit you real hard, and that is what investments are for. That is what real estate is for. That is what we are for, to secure yourself for the future. So we have come to the end of this amazing talk show and live. Thank you for joining us. Thank everybody, to everybody that joined, to all our viewers, to all our followers, to all our guests. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Join us again for another beautiful session. And I think we're going to be carrying, I really love this conversation so much, so we're going to take it to another platform. So you can join us on our Twitter space, at Middlechase on Twitter, and we're going to carry the conversation there. So let's go over there. And next week, we're going to be back here again with another lovely topic for us to discuss about. So stay tuned to us. We love you. Everyday cash flow here at Middlechase. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Can I stand it now?
You can
Download it.
I was waiting, they all left.